Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, or to my channel if you're new here. My name is Ivy. Today we are going to be talking about my October reads. If you guys don't watch my vlogs, you might not know that I didn't film an August wrap up because I only read 3 books. I have a vlog where I talk about those books. I will link it and put it up here, but I'm just going to go through really quickly. I read The Viscount Who Loved Me and An Offer from a Gentleman, the second and the third book in the Bridgerton series. These are Anthony and Benedict stories. These were both 5 stars. I loved them so much. I love Kate and Anthony, and if you are hesitant about continuing the Bridgerton series after you read Simon and Daphne's, please do, because these are so much better. I also read my first Riley Sager book, which was The House Across the Lake. I rated this 3 stars. I have really mixed feelings about it. Let me know if I should pick up anything more by him, and if I should, which book I should pick up, because yeah, I had really mixed reviews on that. And if you want more details, again, I will link that vlog that I discuss all of those books in. But we are going to discuss the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I read 6 books in October, but let me grab my phone so I can check my Goodreads really quick. Okay, so we started off the month with a really good one. I don't know what possessed me to pick this book, but I picked up Big Little Lies by Leanne. I have not seen the TV show of this. I tried to watch it after I read the book and did not like the TV show, so I really don't know how to tell you if you like the TV show, if you should pick this up or not. I really enjoyed it. This book basically just follows a bunch of moms whose kids are in kindergarten, and there's kind of like beef on the first day of kindergarten that just starts all of this drama throughout the year, and you know that it ends up with somebody getting murdered, but you don't know who is murdered and you do not know who killed them. It's so good. It's definitely a character-driven story. I would say that it's more drama than really mystery, but honestly, it's so good. For some reason, I got so attached to these characters so quickly. I don't know if it's the writing or what. This book is also a little bit bigger than what I tend to pick up. I feel like I tend to stick in the 350 pages book and 350 page range, and this book was 488 pages, and I flew through it. I rated this 4 stars, I believe. Maybe I rated it 5, 4.5. We'll say, we'll go 4.5. Then I finished Set on You by Amy Lee. I read maybe like half of this at the beach in August and just ended up not picking it back up again. But I did finish it, and honestly, I think romance books like this are like need to be read in a really quick span to like get everything out of them. But after I picked it back up, I really loved the second half. I really liked the characters, and I will definitely be picking up the next book by her. It's called X's and O's. It follows the sister of the main character in this book and the best friend of the main guy in this book. If you don't know what this book is about, it is about a body positivity influencer, and she basically gets this beef with this guy at the gym, and it's just kind of their romance. It's honestly such a cute book, and definitely recommend if you just need like a quick, fun, easy rom-com read with good representation too. I really would recommend this book. It's been one of my favorite romances from this year, and I will definitely be picking up more from this author. The next book I read was Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Everyone and their mother read this, I feel like, in September or August. People call it Gossip Girl, but in London, it is a very toxic love story, and I would honestly not call this a romance book. I would call it a drama book.
I just feel like if I don't say my thoughts about this book, like, I don't know. I feel like I genuinely need to decompress after reading this. Like, I need to, like, go to a happy place or something. Like, this book genuinely physically drained me. I feel like it is not meant to be consumed in the time that in which I consumed it. I read this book in 2 days, and I definitely think I will continue the series, but whenever I do continue the series, I think that I'm going to make myself space it out, because I genuinely think that this book took like an emotional toll on me, because it was just like one thing after another, and the only way I can describe it is like, and this isn't a spoiler, like this isn't necessarily what happens in the book, so I don't want you to think that if you're interested in reading this book, but the only way I can describe it is that one friend that like everybody has, maybe it's you, that has that relationship that is so incredibly toxic, and they're so mean to each other, but they just keep coming back, and they screw each other over, and they keep getting back together, and it gets to the point, like where you genuinely feel so sad every time like your friend gets screwed over, but it gets to the point where you're like, I don't care anymore, like you know that this is going to happen. And that's kind of how I feel now that this book is finished. And to think about how there is another 500-page book about these two characters, like I hope to God that book is about different relationships. Like if it's still about BJ and Magnolia, I hope to God it is two different relationships, because I don't think I could take another whole book with these two. I genuinely don't. They remind me of like Lucas and Brooke, Chuck and Blair, Courtney and Scott. Like they're so incredibly toxic, and you want to root for them, like you want them to get together, and it is fiction, so like it doesn't matter really if they end up together, but also at the same time like you don't want them to be together, like you want better things for them. And I mean, as you guys know, I support women's wrongs, so I'm team Magnolia all the way, and I just like I want this girl to like not get her heart shattered every 5 minutes.
I feel like I, as many others, had very mixed feelings about that book, because the characters aren't really likable, and I wouldn't say that it's an enjoyable read because it's so much drama. It feels like if you read like Courtney and Scott's full relationship like in a book, like just drama after drama, betrayal after betrayal, like, and it honestly really emotionally takes it out of you. And I do think that I will continue the Magnolia Parks series, but the next time I read one, the next one's Daisy Hates, which I've heard is less toxic than this one, but I think I'm still gonna try to space it out and have like a really fluffy book that I'm reading in between, because I honestly binged this book one Sunday. I probably read like 200 pages of it, and I remember I just had to like set it down, and I was like, I feel like I'm like emotionally distraught from this book, and I don't even know if it was in a good way. But yeah, again, I have very similar feelings as other people. It's just very emotionally draining, and I wouldn't say that I do or do not recommend it. I definitely think that if you're interested in it, look into it, see if you think it's going to be your cup of tea, and it's worth a try. I don't know. I've really never read anything like this, so I feel like you can't know if you like it or not unless you just read it, if that makes sense. The next book I read was also a book that I started in August and never finished, and that was One Italian Summer. I can't think of the author off the top of my head. I rated this 2 stars. This is what I put on Goodreads. This should have been a short story. It barely had any plot, and if you took out all the descriptions of food, weather, and clothing, it couldn't have been more than 100 pages. I definitely think that this was a cute story, but it absolutely needed to be a short story. I don't even think this book was over 270 pages, and I still thought it was way too long, which to me means it should have been a 100 pages Kindle Unlimited short story. Like, it should not have been a whole book. It just felt very drawn out, and I definitely think that there are plenty of other books who have like similar messages or similar vibes as this book. If you're interested in something else, I would just pick up like something else like Eat, Pray, Love, or I've never even read that, so I don't know if it's a good recommendation. But this book basically follows this girl who is in her 30s and her mom dies, and it's very like Lorelai and Rory mother relationship. Like, they are best friends. She truly believes that like her mom is her soulmate. She does not know how to cope without her, and she ends up taking a trip to Italy that they were supposed to take together, and she sees her mom, but it's like her mom when she was in her 30s. It was a cute story. I listened to the audiobook and it still felt excruciating long. I honestly wouldn't recommend it. I definitely think that there are like better options to pick up if you're interested in something similar. The next book that I picked up is another really hyped up book, and that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette Mccurdy. Everybody has been talking about this book for months, long before it came out. If you do not have any idea, if you've never seen this book before, this is written by the actress who played Sam in Sam and Cat and Sam in iCarly, and it's basically about how her mother pushed her into show business at a really young age, and basically the trauma that her mother gave her and the abuse that her mother did to her, and just kind of her story of how she overcame that and how she kind of realized that she was being abused by her mom. I would say this book is very good. It's a really well written book. The story is very, like, the book is very good. I remember she said in an interview that this book is for people in similar situations than hers, and from someone who has a lot of like whose mother struggled similarly with mental health, and that mental health really impacted her children. I would not recommend this book if you have mom issues. I really wouldn't. If you have eating disorder issues, I wouldn't recommend it. To me, I felt like such a sense of sadness and like depression the whole time that I was reading this book, because I could really relate to it. It didn't feel like I was just reading a really heartbreaking story. It kind of felt like someone was like having me relive parts of my childhood. So I would say if you're interested in this book and you don't think it would be triggering to you, definitely pick it up. It's well worth the read. If you think it will be triggering to you, I would really just watch like a video recap of it, and don't let your curiosity kill you like I did. And then I read Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, the highly anticipated new release from her. This is the conclusion of like her Hollywood companion series, I guess it would be called. This is about Carrie Soto, who we saw in Malibu Rising. It's basically her journey with tennis, how her dad taught her tennis, her relationship with her dad, how she was so like motivated to get a record, and then when someone breaks it, she basically comes out of retirement and tries to break it. There's been a lot of controversy around this book. Obviously, like, my opinion does not matter. I will say that everything that is being said about this book, I would say, is pretty well true. I rated this book 3 stars. It did not feel... I've only read Malibu Rising and Daisy Jones, so I don't know how TGR's books compare to those two specifically. It just did not feel like I was reading from the same author. It felt like it was for a younger audience. It felt less complex. It felt less impactful. To me, this was just not, I don't know. It wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. It was still a good book, and I still enjoyed it, but I definitely would never pick up a book like this if it wasn't for it being a part of like the Hollywood series. I don't know how she crammed so much information into Malibu Rising, where you got to hear their parents' stories and their childhoods, and then you still got present day. And I felt like in Carrie Soto, I was just like so, like, I feel like I didn't know the characters. Like, the love interest, I feel like I didn't get to know. Carrie, I felt like I didn't get enough development of her. I felt the same way about her dad, and there was only really 3 like major characters, so I'm not sure like why I felt that way, because in a 360-page book with like 3 main characters, I feel like they should be pretty well developed. I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts if you've read that book, because I definitely don't think it lives, like, it holds a candle to her other books that I've personally read. And then I finished off the month, I actually just finished this morning, with To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I rated this 3 stars. You guys know I loved the Summer I Turned Pretty series, and I was really hoping that I would get the same feelings from this. I definitely didn't, but I'm still enjoying them, and I definitely am still going to pick like up the rest of the series. I will say, I think that Jenny Han is like the perfect author for teenage girls. I truly, truly do. And I think that if you are a teenage girl watching this, you need to pick up books by her. If you are a mother of a teenage girl, you need to buy these books for her. I just feel like if I should have read these in my teenage years, like in middle school, early high school, I feel like they would have helped me so much. Those are all of the books that I read in September. I read 7 books, which is pretty impressive considering I read 3 in August. But yeah, so that is all of the books that I read in September. Super excited to get into October and see what I read for spooky season. Really exciting. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you in my next video. I should have a reading vlog coming very soon. So if you are interested in book content or any content from me, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.